Hiya, and welcome back to Lyre, the game that teaches us that if you want to, how do I word it? That if you want to get with your crush, just, yell at a bunch of people at a party. There you go. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Hold on a goddamn minute. Okay, like, there was like a... Let me go to the main menu real quick and then... That, right there. I just noticed it and it is like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I don't think that's normal though. Oh well. Closing the door behind me, I turn and begin to walk down the hall. It's a very long hallway with a lot of doors that most likely lead to other royal apartments. I reach the end of the hallway and there's a large archway that leads to a pair of spiral stairs going up. Judging by where we are in the castle, I'd suggest this leads to one of the towers. This feels familiar somehow. A lot of things feel familiar lately. There are two guards standing at the front of the entrance to the stairs. It takes me a moment, but I realize that these are the two guards from a while back. The ones that were patrolling the hall after Lyre and I had met Kadaj. The bear stands straight with a large bastard sword pointed at the floor in front of him. The eagle is leaned against the wall with a dull look on his face. I approach the entrance and pause to wait for their approval. The bear looks down at me with a crooked smile. Oh god, is it Brian? Is it Brian from Echo? You've kept our king waiting an awful long time, little lord. I turn and give him an incredulous look before walking forward. They aren't worth my time. Nobody is. Nobody but him. I start to ascend the staircase, and as I reach the top, I realize this isn't that large of a climb. There's only about 20 or 30 steps. When I reach the top, there's a common area and a large set of double doors with the Ossian crest in the center, surrounding the symbol of Tigran. Large bushes filled with flowers adorn the roof of this area, and a big window shines moonlight onto the flowers. Petals fall onto the ground in front of me, and as I step forward, I feel the leaves crunch under my shoes. Raynar loves his plants. I reach the doors and pull one of them open. It's a lot less heavy than I thought it would be, and it swings open with ease. Do I need a censor here? Because I feel like this might end poorly. One of the first things I notice is a large amount of curtains and drapes. They obscure the moonlight and I can barely see a thing. The room is more like a large hall framed with canopies of white cloth, almost completely obscuring the walls and roof, almost like the ballroom. It's like I just walked into a larger version of a child's blanket fortress. I can see canopy bed up ahead and with large drapes and a small bit of light off to the right. The headboard is decorated with large antlers formed from silver. I'm going to check something real quick. No. No, I don't think that needs to be censored. There's far more violent things in, like, not visual novels that aren't censored, so yeah, we're good. The headboard is decorated with large antlers formed from silver. I'd say that chills run down my spine for some reason, but I think I have several reasons. Why is it so dark in here, and where is he? Maybe he got tired of waiting for me and left? I'm not sure if the ball is still going on anymore, considering it's been a couple hours. Hell, the village festivals ended much earlier in the day. I wouldn't be surprised if the ball didn't go too late into the night either. Everyone would have to go back to work tomorrow, so I'd understand them wanting to go to sleep early. I can feel myself getting slightly delirious too, and all I can think about is crawling back into Lyle's bed. I snap back to reality and realize my thoughts were trailing off again. I don't want to snoop around his room without him here, so I turn towards the door and grab the handle. No. Something catches my eye right before I leave. This isn't right. There's a framed painting that has fallen to the floor off of one of the dressers. The glass slate on the carpet has broken, and pieces are scattered across the carpet. Slowly, I walk up to the frame, brushing aside the ivory drapes. It feels like I'm walking through a giant spider web. I kneel down to the floor and slide a bit of the painting out from the frame. It's a portrait of the royal family. It's small, but extremely detailed. The queen is sitting in an elegant chair wearing an orange and white dress, something that you would wear outdoors during the spring. On her lap is a small Adrius. He's smiling and holding his mother's hand. She's grinning down at him, and I notice her eyes are a beautiful golden brown, just like her son's. Behind the two of them is Raynar, his hand on her shoulder, looking down at the two of them. Hiya! His face is plastered with a large grin, which feels weird because I don't think I've seen him smile like that before. I take the photo and set it down on the dresser. As I turn to my left, I notice something even more disturbing. There's large rips through the canopy of the bed. The moonlight shines through them and casts small strips of light onto the neatly made bed. What happened here? I toss a few drapes aside and rush towards the window on the other side of the bed. Yeah, no, I took it as a hint. Yo, what the fuck just happened? What the actual fuck just happened? Lightning strikes outside, illuminating and casting a bright light onto the surface of every object in the room. At first, I don't believe what I'm looking at. It's like when you're trying to remember a dream from the night before and it's all blurry and disoriented? Yeah. Distorted. No. Raynar's laying on the ground in a crumpled position. His legs are spread out and sticking out from behind the bed. That's when I notice the blood. The curtains shine with the crimson substance, and there's even a few spots where it's been smudged. The front of his body is plastered with a few strands and drops of it, and his hooves glisten with scarlet liquid. My legs become weak and I drop to my knees. My hands fall to the blood-stained floor to catch myself. No, no, no! I bring my face up to look at him, and I see his own. His eyes are wide open, and his head is angled towards the window. They look as if they're staring at nothing, with tear stains streaming down his cheeks. Empty and glazed. I'm not sure if he's completely dead yet or not. The body still looks fresh. His throat has been cut to the bone, blood pooling out onto his chest and then onto the floor beneath him, creating a dark puddle. I think I can also see several stab wounds in his chest, but it could also just be stains. Surprisingly, it doesn't look like blood was sprayed anywhere. I watch most of it slowly seep out of his throat into thick, coagulated streams. My eyes start to water, but no tears come out. I'm too shocked by the situation. A foolish thought enters my mind that this might just be one of those nightmares. I imagine waking up in Lyle's arms as he comforts me. That's not going to happen, though. This isn't a dream. I describe it as a nightmare, but it's not one of those either. This is real. This is some Echo-level bullshit. This is some Echo-level bullshit, and I am here for it. Thunder flashes outside again, and I can see the reflection of it in his eyes. Who did this? There are guards outside of the entrance to this tower. To my left is a dagger. The blade is dripping with blood, and it stains the carpeted floor it rests on. It doesn't look like a special blade. The dagger looks like something you would buy at your average smith. My eyes trail back up to his cold face, and the reality of the situation comes down upon me like a flood. I look up and notice some of the blood has been dripping off one of the drapes and onto my coat. There's already a large stain forming. At first, my body doesn't know what to do. I'm stuck kneeling there on the ground, frozen in fear. My heart is beating out of my chest, and 1,000 thoughts are running through my head. Questions I so desperately wish to have answered. I try to stand up, but it takes me a moment. My head is splitting open again, and I can barely think. Once I'm on my feet and dry my tears, I take a look around. I have to go and tell someone. The guards! I stumble toward the door, not looking back. As I'm making my way around a desk, one of the legs gives out, and I collapse to the floor. No. All of a sudden, a massive pain shoots up my spine and through my head. Why now? The pain becomes unbearable, and I let out a horrible yell of agony. My eyes feel like they're about to fall out of my head. The door up ahead opens. Your Majesty, He cuts himself off, and I hear him turn to someone behind him as I struggle to get up. Something's wrong. Stay here! At this point, I can barely hear the sounds of heavy footsteps over my own heartbeat. I manage to bring myself to a kneeling position. Stop right there! He stands over me with his sword drawn. What have you... He looks He looks at me and then down at my hands before rushing over to the bed, his cape billowing behind him. At first I don't hear anything. It's as if the whole world has gone silent. All I can hear is the blood rushing through my veins. Finn. Alert the castle! King Raynar is dead. What? But he was only in here for... Go, now! I'll deal with it. I hear footsteps run out into the hall and down the stairs. Slowly, I wrench my body around so I'm facing the knight. He prepares to raise his sword. You'll die for this foreign scum! My heart is racing and I find myself unable to get a clear sentence out. I quickly gather myself. He brings his sword down and I swiftly roll to the side. His sword catches in the ground and gets stuck. I'm now on all fours and try to break into a sprint. I can't remember the last time I've done this. I don't have time to revel in my reflexes though. My feet slip on the floor, but I regain control and bound towards the door. Just as I reach the entryway, the rug gives out and I slip, slamming my forehead into the ground. Everything goes hazy, and in an act of sheer will, I lift myself up and turn around, trying to regain my vision. The bear has pulled his sword out from the ground and is lumbering toward me. Please, you're making a terrible mistake. What is the meaning of this? Lyre rushes into the doorway, his paw placed on the pommel of his dagger, ready to draw. I watch his eyes settle on me, and then he looks up to the bear. Sir Bjorn, lay down your sword this instant. He killed the king. His eyes contract, and I watch the fear wash over his body. What? He looks behind us at the body laying on the floor. I caught him trying to run away from the scene of the crime. No, it wasn't like that. I was running too... Quiet. Lyre then looks down at me. His face has a mixture of shock and anger. He looks up at Bjorn. Lay down your sword. His voice is shaking. This is the first time I've heard him shout, and it's terrifying. Bjorn is reluctant, but he lowers his sword. He walks up to me and stands over me for a moment. Lyre, please. I didn't. It wasn't me. He looks down at me with fear and then looks up at Bjorn. I can see he's clearly conflicted. My heart is thumping in my chest and I feel like a cornered animal. Lyre then bends down and grabs my arm. He's not gripping me too hard but slowly lifts me up. Lord Richter, you are under arrest for suspicion of crimes against the Kingdom of Lyre and the murder of King Raynar Ossian. He takes a pair of shackles and binds my hands behind me. What? Is this seriously happening? Lyre! Lyre, you know I didn't do it! Bjorn is standing by the king, clearly not happy with his outcome. I'll take him to the dungeons. No. I'll take him. Has the rest of the castle already been alerted? I see him tighten his grip on the pommel of his dagger. Yes, I sent Finn to alert the castle. His grip loosens and I feel him tug on my shackles. As we turn away, he whispers in my ear quickly. It's an extremely quiet whisper, but I pick up on it. Trust me. A slight wave of relief washes over me. I don't know what he could possibly have planned, but anything is better than being executed on the spot for a crime I didn't commit. He begins to lead me to the door. Bjorn, I need you to stay here and wait for the others to arrive. I'm sure that they will be here soon. Understood. Bjorn lumbers over to Raynar's body, getting down on one knee. Lyre leads me out into the hallway and he almost breaks into a sprint. He doesn't talk. He just looks straight ahead. After we descend the spiral staircase, he slows his pace a bit. I can't tell if he's angry at me or not. Lyre, you know I didn't do it, right? More silence. I hear bells start to toll off in the distance. They send a foreboding feeling running up my spine. My eyes start to water as the fear takes over. Every part of my body is shaking. We come to a junction in one of the hallways. There's a loud commotion up ahead so he takes me down another hall. Once we reach the ground floor, we spot Kadaj walking down the hall with 2 Drissian guards behind him. Lyre keeps moving forward, not paying him any mind. Richter, what in the name of Tigran has happened? Lyre ignores as he keeps walking. All I can do is look at him with a desperate expression. I don't know what I can do right now. I'm still recovering from the shock, but I find it very hard with all the shaking. I think Kadaj realizes something is terribly wrong, so he starts to walk faster toward the commotion, his guards following quickly behind him. We descend further and further down into the castle's lower floors. It becomes colder and colder, and I can feel goosebumps rising on my skin. Lyre takes me down a hall with several cell doors. He goes to the very end and unlocks the door that leads to a large cell. It's terribly dark down here, and my eyes don't have time to adjust to the shadows. I can't even see Lyre. Richter, yes? I hear him fall to his knees. He's crying, I can tell. He wraps his arms around me and pulls me into a tight hug. While he does this, he also unlocks the restraints around my wrists. They fall to the ground behind me with a thud, landing on something soft. I'm so sorry. I should have went with you from the beginning. I didn't want you to feel like I was babying you. I should have gone with you, though. It's my job. I should have gone with you. I grasp his face from what I can see in the dark and give him a kiss. You couldn't have known. He gasps and lets out a shaky chuckle. What happened up there? I don't know. I walked into his chambers and the entire place was dark. He wasn't there, so I went to leave, but then saw how trashed the room was. After that's when I found it. My hand comes up to my mouth as I remember the vivid imagery. I try my best to hold myself back from vomiting. Thankfully, I keep it down. I don't know why they think it was me. You were found at the scene of the crime. Nobody else could have gotten in there, so it had to be you in their eyes. Then why was he dead? I don't know. The body was freshly killed, too. You don't actually think I... Of course not. He lets out a shaky sigh and hugs me. I had to arrest you. Otherwise, you would have been executed on the spot. Why were they going to do that? They aren't supposed to, but Bjorn isn't a rule follower. He likes to seek justice in his own way. He pauses and I can feel him shaking. Lyle, you just saved my life. He hugs me tighter and then releases me. You'll have to spend the night here. Okay. And I'll have to go. This makes my heart sink, but I accept it. Okay. I'm so sorry. We will get this all sorted out, don't worry. They'll understand. With that, he gives me a soft kiss on the cheek. He stands and I can hear him lock the door behind me. I love you, Richter. I'll come back for you. Sir Reed, the prince... Yes, I know. The last noise that I hear other than the chiming bells is the sound of his footsteps as they run off. I don't know what to do. A million thoughts run through my head, but they all conjoin at the same path. What happens next? I find a stone bench in the dark and lay down on it. Tears stream down the side of my face, but I don't care anymore. All I can do is succumb to the darkness as I pass out. No dreams tonight. Just one word echoes through my mind like a bell. Wits. Chapter 7, Day 21. Honestly, this is some... It is turning into Ad Astra level bullshit. Bjorn is being Kato right now. Reality slowly drifts in front of my face in a similar way to how a ray of sunshine would cast a red glow on the inside of your eyelids. Every day, waking up becomes harder and harder. Sometimes I can't even understand if this is all a normal thing or if I'm just weak. I was never a morning person. Slowly, each of my 5 senses come back to me. I immediately remember where I am and why I'm here. Usually when I wake up in a new or unfamiliar place, I'm struck with a bit of confusion before realizing where I am. It's different this time, though. This isn't like waking up in another person's house after spending the night with them. This is different because the events that led to it haunted my dreams. I knew I was going to wake up to this. Images of Raynar's body slumped onto the floor with soulless eyes invade my mind. But I try not to think about any of that yet, as I'm not fully awake. I strain my eyes open wider and wipe the feeling of dried tears from my face. The stone bench that I'm laying down on is cold and smooth. Painfully, I sit up and look around. What I assumed to be a sack that I was laying my head on was actually a pillow made from straw and a ragged cloth. There's a large tarp bundled up at the end of the bench, which I guess is supposed to be a blanket. I wasn't too cold last night, but I wish I had known that it was there. The cell wouldn't be too bad if the bed wasn't a giant slab of rock. I'm better off sleeping on the floor. The only window is a small hole busted into the wall that's barred off. On the other side is a cell door that's locked with heavy chains. Along with that is a straw laid all over the floor and a few puddles of water. The shackles that I wore for a short time last night are laying there in a pile of straw. That's where they must have fallen after Lyre took them off me. I get up from my sitting position and stand, stretching out my legs and arms. My clothes feel dusty and any skin I have exposed feels dry and dirty. My hair feels messy and I shake my head, letting it straighten itself before haphazardly tying it back again. I don't really care about it looking nice anymore. I would just rather not have any hair in my eyes. I'd cut it, but I have a feeling Lyle likes it too much. Lyle. He said he would come back for me, but he didn't say when. Now that I think about it, why hasn't anything happened yet? Shouldn't someone have come down to see me now, good or bad intentions? I sit down on the slab of stone. My mind seems to be all over the place. I can't decide what to think about. I try to distract myself with other issues, but my thoughts always wander back to the worst place. Raynar is dead. They all think I did it. Except Lyle, of course. I'm honestly surprised he doesn't think it's me, though. The body was freshly killed, and I was the only one there. If only I could function better under stress. I can't believe this. If I wanted to kill Raynor, I probably would have planned it out so I'm not standing there like an idiot when it happens. Shock really took me over there, and I also got another one of those sudden headaches. If I get out of this, I need to get those checked out. Whatever they are caused by, it can't be good. Tapping my feet on the ground in front of me, I notice there's a chair that's been thrown against the wall. Its pieces are scattered all over the floor and look old and rotten. Comfortable. Who could have killed him? Several people come to mind, but when I think about it, I don't know what any of them are capable of. Nobody reasonable really comes to mind. There is one thing that I am certain of, though. I was framed. Nope. Someone has it out for me, and I don't know who. I could sit here and rack my brain for hours, but soon I hear footsteps echoing down the damp hall. I don't get up from my seat until I start to really listen to the footsteps. They're extremely familiar. I jump up and run to the cell door. Lyle? He gets closer, and soon I can see him down the bend of the hall. Richter! He approaches the door to the cell. There's a look of worry on his face, and I can tell he's been having a rough day. He probably has it worse than I do. I limply reach my hand through one of the bars. He gets on his knees and takes it in his paw. I'm sorry, I should have come down sooner. I wasn't able to, though. Why not? His sad and tired eyes look up at mine, and I can see the stress. The entire kingdom is in shambles. Rumors are already beginning to spread throughout the town, and everyone thinks that you killed Raynor. It's only a matter of time before this spreads through the rest of the north. I figured that would happen. Has anything worse happened? No, but the worst is yet to come. Everyone is scared, confused, and furious. I and several others were up half the night with Liz trying to wrap our heads around it. Others? Yes. Anyone who is a witness and several other officials. The prince joined us halfway through. How's he taking it? Not well. The bell started ringing and he locked himself in his room after finding out. He didn't even want to see the body, but to be honest, I wouldn't want to see it either if I were him. One of the guards told me that he could hear sobbing and things being thrown around the room. Oh God. He probably thinks I did it. I wouldn't blame him, but I really don't need more reasons for him to hate me right now. He joined us about an hour later. Not before kicking over your chair, of course. I can imagine that. Well, he can honestly be forgiven for losing his temper. Agreed. He had enough stability to contribute to our little debate last night, however. Well, what has been discussed so far? He sits down in front of the cell door and leans his head back against the wall. I do the same, finding a nice pile of straw to sit down on. We mostly tried to figure out what we were going to do next. Laying our king to rest was one of the topics. That should be taken care of soon. I still can't believe he's dead. Neither can I. He wanted to be buried next to his wife. Behind the gardens? Yeah. How did you know where she's buried? I was taking a walk through the gardens after we visited the village when I happened upon the grave. Raynor was there and we talked for a bit. You came back to my room drunk that night, so I didn't get to tell you. Yeah. He was paying his respects and I caught him in a bit of a vulnerable moment. After that, we just talked for a bit. He went there every month. Right now, they're already making the arrangements to have him buried there. The biggest topic was what this means. Some see this as an act of war, but I doubt that. I feel there's something far more sinister at play. I feel the same way. Given the exchange of ambassadors was proposed by the Kingdom of Erin, Prince Adrius thinks that you were sent to cause chaos and weaken Lyre. That's ridiculous. Erin would never dream of starting conflict between the kingdoms. Why would they want to start a war with Lyre and Driss? That's not what they're thinking. A majority of people see this as an attack on Lyre from both kingdoms. What? They have more reason to suspect that Driss is a part of this plot. The Kingdom of Lyre has been becoming more and more isolated over the years. Trade has been slowing down and they have suspicions that Erin and Driss are trying to seize control to benefit themselves. At least, that's what I heard. I'm not a politician. This doesn't make any sense. Seize control? Improving relations between the kingdoms is the desirable outcome, simply due to the fact that all of the kingdoms would benefit equally. Starting a conflict, let alone a full-on war, would be detrimental to the entirety of Tigran. No, I don't think that's what's happening. Neither do I. It just doesn't make any sense. Either way, even though Lord Kadaj was appointed Minister of Foreign Relations, Prince Adrius considers him a political hostage. Nothing too serious has been decided yet, considering Driss is only under suspicion of collusion. I assure you, I've been scheming with Kadaj. I know. Trust me, Richter, I believe you. I can't help but remember the conversation that Kadaj and I had the other day. They fear that Lyre is falling out of touch with the rest of the kingdoms. So it's true. The kingdoms do fear that Lyre is falling out of touch. Even some of the citizens of Lyre feel this way. But he said his goal was to bring stability. So he couldn't have a hand in this. Could he? I don't remember seeing him before I left the party last night. Thankfully, Liz somewhat agrees with me. Really? Yes. She also believes that there's something far more complex going on here. The only bad part is she's still conflicted on whether she thinks you're the one who did it or not. That makes sense. She doesn't really know me. And anything she does know would definitely be confusing. I tried to convince all of them that you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That you were framed. What do they think of that? Liz seemed to consider it as a possibility. Prince Adrius is currently blinded by hatred, but in the near future I can see him considering it as well. I doubt that. It's nice to hear I'm not as completely guilty yet. Each moment we continue to talk about this, and every second I learn what's happening, I get more and more stressed. There's another thing. He sits up a bit and leans toward the cell door. We have a lot more information considering the scene of the murder. That's what I've been doing most of the time. Was there anything that could prove my innocence? Nothing yet. But there has been some very helpful insight. Like what? Well, first, there's the body. He was stabbed twice in the stomach, once in the chest, and then most likely had his throat slit to finish the job. Raynor was most likely caught off guard. His antlers tore through the drapes after getting caught in a struggle. We found flakes of gold stuck to the cloth next to the ribs. They were from the antler that he decorated for the ball. I feel my insides twist around a bit as I recall the image of the room. Yes, that's interesting, but are there any important revelations? Yes, there is. The guards confirmed to us the people who had been in the room around the time of his death. Who else was there? The guards posted outside the staircase that leads up to the tower to his room confirmed that 4 people had been in there around that time. One of the guards, Bjorn, Lord Kadaj, you, and of course, Raynor. With Bjorn going in and out within the hour. I knew it. What? Kadaj wasn't at the party when we left, was he? I don't remember seeing him. I think he and Raynor must have slipped out early. Maybe to take care of something similar to what he had in mind with me. That is most likely what happened. We questioned him a little last night, and he said he was handling some important business with Raynor. Official questioning hasn't begun yet, but maybe he knows what happened. Or maybe... He leans forward in interest. What? Maybe he had a hand in it? His eyes gleam with shock at first, but I see his thoughts and watch as he considers the possibility as if he's already done it before. Even I have to admit it's not something I would want to believe, but given the things he's said in the past, it's not far off. He alluded to events going on in an undesirable direction after the winter solstice. Lyle speaks up. It's not impossible. Bjorn is currently giving his full report to Liz, so we'll find out soon, I guess. But yes, it's completely possible for him to have done it. Do you think he did it? Like Lyle said, it's possible, but I don't want to believe it. Bjorn could have done it too. Are we sure no one else was in there that night? Positive. Not only do we have Bjorn's brief report, but several canines, including myself, sniffed around the room. Oh yeah, that would be helpful. I forgot you could do that. It's funny to imagine Lyle with his nose pressed to the ground sniffing like a bloodhound. I doubt that's how he did it, though. Yes. And we picked up the scent of 4 people. Those of the people who were noted. Damn. There goes my hopes of it being someone else. There's a long silence before I finally answer his question from before. You asked if I think it's him. Thing is, I don't want it to be, but it definitely could be. I agree. But I thought you didn't trust him, or at the very least didn't like him. He slumps down lower in a sitting position. I didn't trust him because I saw him as a man with a motive, someone who wanted to climb the ranks, but I never would have imagined he would do something like this. He pinches the part of his muzzle between his eyes and runs a paw over his head. I too want to believe that it wasn't him, but only because it would mean Driss had nothing to do with this. He lowers his paw and looks at the floor. That would leave Bjorn. If it was him, then it would mean it's not a foreign attack, which would make this much more complicated. But I also don't think it could be him. He's always been a beast, but his devotion to the kingdom is unchallenged. I guess that makes sense. Still, it has to be one of them. Unless... What is it? Adrius. What if he... It's not out of the question, but it's extremely improbable. Especially with the evidence we have so far. What if it was patricide? What? What are you saying? You know what patricide is, right? Of course I know what patricide is. I'm definitely mispronouncing that. Hang on. Let's get the actual pronunciation.
Self-voicing enabled. Lyle, of course I know what patricide is.
Yeah, I'm pronouncing it patricide.
Self-voicing disabled.
You think Adrius killed his dad? I shrug my shoulders. It's not an impossibility. He wasn't in the room at the time, though. I know. He was out in the village last night. I saw him by the fountain. Lyle thinks for a moment. That explains why the exit to the tunnel was unlocked. But still, you said it yourself. He wasn't even there. You don't have to be in the same room as someone to have them killed. Even so, we don't know if he was out there the whole night. What motive would he have? He says this in a hushed whisper, annoyance in his voice. Not everyone needs a motive, but his is easy to figure out. Richter, He cuts himself off and thinks for a moment. Don't you think you're being a little biased? No! I mean, we have to consider all possibilities. He looks down at the ground and wrinkles his snout. I understand what you're saying, and I know you also don't like him. I know he doesn't like you too. Hell, even I'm not particularly fond of him. Lately, they may have been a bit distant or short with each other due to stress, but you have only been here a month. You haven't seen their full relationship. He loved his father, and his father loved him. He bites his lip but continues. Last night he was enraged. He was going through so many emotions and they all felt genuine. And you know how I'm a good judge on these things. I know. I just thought I would throw it out there. I just had this feeling that it might be true. Why? I don't know for sure. He's been saying things to me recently and I have the feeling that he has it out for me. He curls his lip in response to this. And not too long ago, Kadaj gave me some advice. To trust my own judgment and rely on what I know. To put trust in other people, but never as much as I trust myself. Lyle runs a paw through his fur, listening intently. I can just feel it in my gut that he has something to do with this. His paws brush up against his knees as he considers it. I don't know, Richter. Maybe you're right, but we should stop throwing around suspects. By that logic, we could suspect the damn servant that saw me half naked last night. Maybe he killed the king and went to go and frame you. He exhales and gathers himself. But that doesn't mean he was the one who did it. We have to focus on the solid suspects that we have now. That's our best chance of proving your innocence. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through my body straight up to my head. Shouldn't we be considering all of our options? My life depends on this! I shout this at him, the searing pain taking over. This upsets him, and once the pain is gone, I instantly regret it. I'm sorry, Lyle. I didn't mean to yell at you. It's fine, I understand. I know that this must be stressful for you. No, it's more than that. I'm just tired of talking about this. I lay back on the floor and stare at the ceiling. Something's wrong with me. Like what? I'm not sure. Mainly it's these headaches I've been having, but it's something else too. I feel like things are going so fast. Like I'm on a carriage going down a hill and there's no way to stop it. I pause to collect my thoughts, knowing I'm about to go on a very large rant. I've always tried to keep a level head. I was trained to become a master of my emotions, but sometimes I slip. Situations become too stressful and nothing prepares you for what happened last night. I froze, and it's been happening all the time. I get stressed out and I make impulsive decisions and do stupid things. I run my hands through my hair and squint my eyes, the pain still thumping in my head. Lyle, I'm so scared. He shuffles on the ground a bit and then leans forward, a solemn look on his face. I know how you feel, Richter. Believe me, I do. Sometimes we try our best to be prepared for anything. He looks down at his paw, opening and closing his fingers. But fear gets the better of us. Sometimes it can control us and influence our actions. He looks out a window to our left and with a conflicted expression on his face. Richter, do you know the reason why I blamed myself for our queen's death? Why is he bringing this up? It's because you could have stopped it, right? Yes. He stares off into space for a moment before continuing. When I had my eye cut, I couldn't move. Blood was pouring into my eye and I thought the worst had happened. Fear took over and I froze up. He rubs his paw over his eye. My officer tried to shake me and get me up, but I lost my footing. I wasn't in the moment. Everything happened so fast and I was scared. The words echoed down the corridor. He looks up at me. That haunted me for a long time, Richter. I even approached Raynar about it a few years ago because of the pain. I asked him, how could I have been brave in that situation? He gave me some advice. He said, you can't be brave unless you are afraid. Along with otherwise, you're just reckless, but that's beside the point. He gives a slight smile. And he's right. You have to stay brave. Fear can help you with that. With that, he ends his speech. I guess I understand what you're saying. I aimlessly fiddle with the ring on my finger as I take it all in. I'll need to work on that. It's pretty good advice. He was full of good advice. Lyle says this with a sense of pride. You really admired him, didn't you? It was more than just your dedication as a knight. I did. Ever since I started living here, he was like my second father. I was practically raised by him in my teen years. Please tell me you've had time to grieve. Not really. I have to focus on what's going on now. Is what he would want me to do. He would be very proud of you, Lyle. He gives a slight smile. I hope so. And I'm going to make him even more proud. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you out of here, love. Raynar may be dead, but I'm going to continue to follow through with the orders he gave me. I will assist you in any way I can. He stands and sticks a paw through the bars. I get up and take it in my own hand. I love you, Lyle. I love you too, Richter. I just hope we're doing the right thing. You know, by being together. What do you mean? Well, it's just that I love you, Richter, but you said everything was moving too fast, and if you want to slow down, we can. I run my hand over his paw, feeling the pads beneath the glove and rubbing my fingers along his. Lyle, I wouldn't say this is from my experience, but I know one thing about this world. Love happens in all kinds of ways. Sometimes it's slow, other times it's fast. Sometimes it's between people who are similar, and sometimes it's between people who are very, very different. I say this as I run my hand across his cheek. You're very different from me. It's happening very fast, and it happened at a very chaotic moment in our lives. But this is the only fast thing in my body that I'm enjoying, in my life that I'm enjoying. You're my light in the dark. He leans forward, pressing his snout through the bars, and gives me a kiss on the forehead. You make me so happy, Richter. Next time I come down here to visit you, I'm going to see about unlocking this door. Maybe I'll even get you better living arrangements, but I don't know if I have control over that. I'll definitely put you in one of the better cells, though. I appreciate everything you've done so far. He gives a slight bashful smile. Speaking of, I should probably be going. I have a lot to do and can't be gone for long. Oh yes, I'm sure our new king is just itching to order you around. I say this rolling my eyes. Actually, he's still the prince. Really? But he's the heir. He hasn't been crowned yet. Until then, as the king's advisor, Liz is acting queen. Oh, so that's why she's been handling everything. Yes. This whole ordeal has put a heavy burden on her shoulders. It's even worse considering she just got back. She's handling it well, though. Responsibility is one of her strengths. He rubs a finger on one of the metal bars, collecting dust on the tip of his glove before rubbing it off. Speaking of them, others might come down to talk to you. Ask questions and whatnot. I know you're smart, so play the situation to your strengths. Okay, I'll try. I won't ever let anyone hurt you. He takes my hand in his large paws and leans closer to the bars, looking into my eyes. Not even the prince? Not even the prince. I'll tell him, listen, you little wretch, he's mine! There's a moment of blissful silence as we just enjoy each other's presence before he has to leave. His forehead is pressed to mine and I feel warmth. It's like whenever he's around, nothing else matters. He pulls away, still holding my hand. I'll be back, love. I always will. He steps away slowly, still trying to hold my hand. My fingertips slide off of his gloved paw and he begins to walk away. I love you, Lyle. There's a pause and I hear him turn around. I love you too, Richter. Going to do my best to help you in any way I can. After that, I hear him walk off. The sound of his padded feet walking down the halls fades away, and with each step getting quieter, I feel more and more cold. I can even hear him pass a guard on the way out of the corridor, but I can't make out what he says. The air and the weather begin to take over as I begin to feel weak. The sun is already beginning to set and the temperature is dropping fast. I walk over to the bench and lay down on it, using the blanket as some sort of cushion. Small pains work their way through my body and it's up to my head, keeping me from worrying about how chilly it is down here. Probably should have asked Lyle if he could get someone to send Leaf down here. He probably doesn't want to see me right now, but I'm definitely in need of some medicine. Something to ease the pain. At least until I can figure out what's going on. I just hope that it's not anything lethal or anything with lasting effects. When did this even start? Only a few weeks ago, I think. To think that only a little over a month ago I was back in Erin. My room was so comfortable, and I had my own tower in the castle, which overlooked the entire capital and the ocean beyond. I would watch the sunset over the horizon every evening while drinking the finest wine. The sun's golden light would bounce off the tops of the roof and cast a yellow glow into the misty air above. It was a pampered life, much better than that of my childhood, but I wasn't very happy. I rest my head on the pillow and close my eyes, trying to think of something other than my situation or the pain my body feels. Back then, every day was the same. I would work for hours every day, and then what? Sometimes I would just sit in my room reading a book. Other times I would visit the local brothel and try to have a night full of pleasure. Those nights were only full of temporary joy, though. Those men only took pleasure in my company because they were paid to. And at the end of the night, I was left feeling empty. It's only a little over a year ago, and I was naive. I still am. In spite of what's happened, I can't help but think being sent here was the best thing to happen to me. For the past month, life has felt like it's worth living. On the road here, I reminisced on the stories I read and songs I heard of the lands beyond Erin. It made things seem exciting and simple. The songs lie, though. They tend to always do that. There's one thing that I can collect my judgment on, however. I've met a gallant knight who loves me for who I am. Someone who doesn't want anything from me. All he wants is me. And I love him. But I can't fully rely on him to solve this predicament I'm in, as much as I wish I could. I'll need to be able to find my own way out of this situation when the time comes. I need to play this smart. I lay there for what feels like a few more minutes with my mind jumping between thoughts. The pain in my head isn't going away either, as the time passes faster and faster. In fact, it's getting worse. Having my eyes closed at this point just hurts, so I open them. The sun has set over the mountains, its rays shining into the sky above are just barely visible. The moon is already high among the stars, and I watch as small flurries of snow drift in through the window. Moonlight refracts through the snow, making each piece sparkle and glitter like stars. They land in a puddle on the ground and melt into the rest of the muddy water. For some reason, this visual fills me with a sense of sadness. I consider covering up the barred window with a blanket to allow for better sleep tonight, but I don't have anything to hang it up with. I don't even have the desire to sleep anyway. The last thing I need is to slowly lose my sanity in this cell after having more nightmares. Hey yo, what the fuck? Ah. Another sharp pain shoots through my body like lightning, causing me to sit up. A distorted, violent image flashes across my vision. My heart is racing, and despite the cold, I can feel myself sweating. There it is again. Standing up after another bolt of pain causes me to panic. Something must be terribly wrong. I have to call for help. There should be a guard at the end of the hall. Am I finally getting through? Great heavens above, that took years. I stop in my tracks and my eyes widen. At first I think that someone's outside of my cell talking to me, but... Hello? Nobody's there. The voice sounded as if it was echoing in my mind. My body finishes tensing up, and I feel a chill run down my spine. Am I dreaming? No, this isn't a dream. There's just something about it that feels different. It feels strange. Another horrible shock of pain slithers throughout my nerves, this time causing me to collapse onto the bench, similar to last night. It's just the gayness. It's just the gayness talking to us. My vision is slowly fading, but so does everything else. The sound of wind, the smell of the musty cell. All of my senses have been shut down. Am I dying? Am I dead? No. I'm entirely sure that if I was dead, either something or nothing would have happened by now. Right now, I'm just floating. If this was the afterlife, being trapped alone with my thoughts would surely send me over the edge. I must be dreaming again. But nothing's happening. For the briefest moment, I feel and think nothing. It's pure bliss. It's the gay. It's the gay! Suddenly, my vision is flooded with bright colors. A vortex spirals ahead of me, spinning rapidly and constantly changing. There are colors that I've never even seen before. Wind blows in my face and causes my clothes and hair to flow behind me in a chaotic fashion. What the hell is going on? Usually my dreams aren't this crazy. I look down on the ground and realize there isn't any, which causes me to fall to my knees in shock. Whatever I'm standing on seems like a thin sheet of glass, but it's too perfect to be anything like that. It's as smooth as silk and seems to run like water. A shimmering mist flies out from behind me where my legs touch the ground. It's not unlike how a ship leaves a wake as it cuts through the water. My hand presses into the glass firmly and it feels cold. It's not painful though, and no matter how hard I press my hands into it, they won't sink beneath the surface. I consider this a good thing because on the other side is a chasm of spiraling colors. I slowly get up to stand on my feet. The wind is howling in my ears and there's a bright light up ahead, so bright that it hurts to look at. Along with the sound of the wind is echoing voices and noises. Some sounds that are familiar, others that I've never even heard before. Bright embers that resemble stars float down from above and fly behind me at a high speed. I look behind me and it's the same as in front. An endless chasm of tints and tones spinning like a whirlpool. Chills run down my back, causing me to physically shiver. This is beautiful yet terrifying. Nobody is here from what I can tell. This doesn't stop me from calling out though. Hello? My voice echoes down the tunnel, repeating everything back to me as if mocking me. Is anyone there? Again, nothing but my own voice answering back with the same phrase. Amidst the mockery, there's another voice. You seem awfully calm. Usually most spend their first few minutes either throwing up or shouting into the void with terror. It's that voice again. Where are you? Over here. Ooh. I turn to face forward and I have to strain my neck to look up. Before me stands a creature of a large size shrouded in bright viridescent flames. I alone would have to stand on Lyle's shoulders in order to be at eye level with him. Their fur is also shrouded in an unnatural dark shadow, completely unaffected by the blaze of flames behind them. Each tuft shines and refracts in the light like a perfectly polished piece of flint, with teal sparks flying off. It's a mesmerizing and terrifying sight, and I sense a powerful energy coming off of them. 6 arms come out from their upper torso, each one looking different from the last. Not only that, but there's 2 tails. Their teal eyes pierce into my soul, but have a soft look to them. The last thing I notice is a shimmering green crease running across their pectoral, along with the glowing crest of Tigran on their belly. This part never changes though. Are you done staring? Their voice is masculine and strong, but has a mellow tone to it. Not as threatening as their physical appearance. You'll have to forgive me. I'm finding it very hard not to. One of their sets of arms cross, and the other set places their paws firmly on their hips. You're not the first, all is forgiven. The sparks from the flames on their back fly by my face, but if any are landing on me, they certainly don't hurt. Am I dreaming? There's a dreadfully long pause before they answer. It's complicated, but no. This isn't a dream, Richter. You know me? Of course. I know a lot of things. Most of it is useless, but it has its moments. They talk a lot. Almost like a child talking to an adult in a very fast manner. Am I dead? This time they answer immediately. No, you're not dead. Then what's going on? The wind around us rushes faster, changing current in an unpredictable way. The sound is loud, but not oppressive. Shimmering dust flies out from under their padded feet and blows past me like a sandstorm. Richter, I'm going to explain this in a way that is easy to understand, but it will be shocking. I somehow doubt you'll have too much trouble understanding this, though. Understanding what? That you are a very gifted person. What are they talking about? No, I'm not. What gift could I possibly have? Yes, you are. You might even consider it a curse. That depends on how you use it. Use what? They take a moment to answer, crossing a set of their arms. Have you ever had dreams that seem real? Experiences that are not your own? They hold up a paw. Has there ever been a moment where you've been attacked by terrible headaches and sharp pains? Yes, once or twice, but... A shiver runs up my spine and the legs I've been kneeling on begin to feel weak. Those are just nightmares. Coincidences. They point at me. Is that truly what you believe? Or is that just what you want to believe? This question sits in my ears and blocks out the noise of everything else around me. They're right. These aren't just coincidences, and deep down I've always known that. What is going on? You have an ability. You may not consider yourself a special person, but you have a very special ability, and I'm here to guide you through controlling it. You're going to tell me what this is? Since your birth, you have had the ability to see beyond the present. Those dreams you had were visions, Richter. Visions of the past from others' perspective. What? That's not possible. It's... How could that even work? I think back to that horrible nightmare I had about Raynar. Was that You've had this ability your whole life, but over time it is weakened. The potential for this power becomes weaker with each person who inherits it. The span of time that a mortal has been able to inherit it has increased to just above 100 years. Most of your race has likely forgotten about these individuals. You're only just now having clear visions, but you're not able to control them. That is why I am here. My head feels light and the feeling in my feet is completely gone. Who are you? You don't have to know who I am yet. This was expected. To your people, I am known and named for many things. The creature, the creator, the supreme being. I've even been referred to as a demon on more than one occasion. But I am simply the one who built the foundations for this world. The one who guides everything, yet has no control. Tigran. A short pause follows after my outburst before he responds. What? The wind begins to slow down, becoming a light breeze, and the colors around us slow down, like a wheel on a cart. You're Tigran, aren't you? The god that created our world? The one who our continent is named after? The wake of dust flying out beneath us is now a gentle cloud of sand. It's relieving to not have the sound of wind hit in my ear anymore, but now this area feels empty. Yes, I am Tigran. I am the god of your world, but here I am just a guide. You hold almost as much power here as I do. And this form you've taken, it's a trick? Okay, not that bad. A little creepy, but not that bad. A trick of the light. Before me now stands a tiger, vibrant and strong with glowing green eyes. They're not just a tiger, though. Their form is made up of 3 different animals from what I can tell. Yes. The second animal is some sort of reptile. It looks like a snake from the tail, but I could be wrong. The last animal is a bird. Large winged hands that are as yellow as honey sprout from beneath their other sets of arms. They're completely naked, but have no reproductive organs. How did you know I was your god? Most don't figure it out that fast, especially not the non-religious ones. I haven't been to a place of worship in years, but I remember your form being that of a chimera. I also recognize the symbol on your torso. I say this slightly pointing to the triangle on their belly. Interesting. And here I thought you weren't able to keep a level head in dire situations. He chuckles to himself, each belt booming through the cavern. It just came to me, I suppose. Now, if it's okay, I'd like to take up more of your time by asking some more questions. Time doesn't pass here. Well, for me it doesn't, but if you come here unconscious, then it will. So I am asleep. Is this the heavens? Afterlife? They shake their head. No. The afterlife is a completely different ordeal. Something I won't explain to you. It would end up being a burden. They raise a hand. This is your mind's eye. The place where you can transcend time and body. They gesture around with their arms. It's your sanctuary. My sanctuary. Why is it so calm now? It is yours. It will react to your emotions and your thoughts. I study the way the walls of this tunnel move slowly. Almost as if they're barely moving at all. I never see it get this calm this fast. I walk up to one of the curved walls of the chasm and run my fingers along the side. They cut into the wall, and on the other side is more layers of light. Dust flies off of my hand, similar to the floor. I've had a lot of stress about lately. I'm all out of room in my mind to fret about this, especially since I still don't know what this means for me yet. He puts on a quizzical look. What this means for you? I know you're doing your best to explain this, but it's a lot to take in. Along with that, my mind tends to wander a lot. That's okay. This isn't something that you could comprehend in a day. Not only that, but I am a bit restricted. Restricted? They raise a hand to their chest and run a finger along with a glowing scar. A punishment from the higher gods. Tigran's scar? I remember that the mountain range of northwest Erin was named for religious reasons. But didn't think it was that important. Yes. Stops me from giving away too much information to mortals. Past events caused great chaos and left me punished. So you can share your wisdom with me, but not direct knowledge. They frown. Yes. The collective knowledge of this world is something you will have to attain yourself. It is not something I can give you. All of the collective knowledge of the world? That could make someone extremely powerful. But something feels off. There must be a catch. Earlier said this was a curse, something that could either help or burden me. Their eyes brighten and I can see they've been eager to have this brought up. That I did. This ability is extremely powerful. The higher gods sometimes question me for bestowing it. Their tails swish as they scratch their chin with the tiger paw. but the world needs someone to act as their guide. Guide them toward a brighter future by making sure the mistakes of the past are not repeated. This power should only be used for the greater good. Any user who uses it for selfish intentions is punished, and the cycle grows weaker. The breeze around me sends a chill up my spine as they say this. So I'll ask you this one question. Ask it of everyone. Around me, everything around me slows, even the mist beneath my feet. If you could see any event from the past and any event from the future, what would they be? And answer truthfully. I'll know if you're lying. I look down at the ground and attempt to think about this question hard. This is always so much fun. I guess I'll start with the first. If I could see any event from the past, what would it be? To be honest, the first thing that comes to mind is what I've been questioning for the past day. Who killed Raynar? Is that selfish, though? No, I don't think it is. I want justice for my king. This isn't just to save myself. This isn't about me. But what would I do if I could see the future? Tiger didn't mention being able to see the future. Maybe it's a direct question? I'm ready to answer. Good, go on. If I could see anything in the past, I would want to see who murdered my king. Not for the safety of myself, but for the justice of his kingdom. An interesting answer. And about the future? I gather my thoughts and continue. The future is more difficult. The possibilities are endless, and there's no event that is set in stone. But in a theoretical sense, I suppose I would wish to see a tragic event before it happens, so that I could prevent it. Tigrant bites their lower lip with curiosity before responding. That's a unique response. This isn't the first time I've heard it, though. They step back. Thank you for answering my question. You have provided me with great insight. So it's true then. They stop in their tracks and look down at me. Can I really see the past? Is it really possible for me to figure out who killed my king? They rub their chin with one of their hands and look at me with a concerned gaze. Yes, it is possible, but you will need to train. Right now, your experience only allows you to see distant memories, and this has only happened because of certain triggers. Hearing them say this reminds me of how I had the vision of Elena's death right after hearing about it. That happened 10 years ago. Anything recent would be harder to grasp. A twisted memory of the past. They sigh. For the past month, you've been becoming your own person more and more. No longer are you an onlooker or a passerby. You've finally removed your mask. Okay, we will speak again. How? I have a feeling you already know. And with that, their figure slowly fades away, the light behind them refracting through their body like glass. At first, I'm lost, not knowing what to do next, but then I feel an empty pain in my stomach. I can feel my eyes physically gleam with light as everything around me closes. I hear one last thing before I'm enveloped in comforting darkness. Your eyes can see beyond the horizon, beyond the skyline. Use this. I'm back in the cell. My head is leaning up against the wall and my body is sprawled out on the stone bench. My body feels completely exhausted, but not in a sleepy way. Was I dreaming? I lift myself up slightly and look out the window. The sun's rays are being cast over the mountain like a golden crown. Time didn't pass. Even if I only slept a wink, the light from the sun shouldn't be visible at all. So it was real. Either that or I'm crazy. Can I really see into the past? It would make sense considering everything that's happened. That vision that I had where I was looking through Raynar's eyes, it was too real. Does this mean I could do it again? Seeing back in time and figure out who killed him? I can't see how it would help me though. Not like anyone would believe me. I take the ring off of my finger and fiddle with it in my hands, sliding it on and off, watching it gleam in the moonlight. Focusing on objects helps me think. I see another object gleam in the light. It's a shimmering object stuck in one of the piles of straw, like it's being hidden. Walking over to it, I reach in and pull out a small shard of glass. It's a piece of armor, almost as big as a spearhead. Maybe someone was going to use it as a weapon? I lift it up to my face and try to look into it to see a reflection. The shard is scratched to hell, and there's not a very clear image. My face is slightly warped in the reflection, but I can make out everything. My face is a bit disheveled as I look like I haven't slept in 2 days. Something does strike me as odd. I swear my eyes were green. Now that I get a closer look, they're blue. An extremely bright and vibrant blue, almost like diamonds. They were green before, I swear they were. Suddenly I think back to what Tigrant said a few minutes ago. You finally removed your mask. Maybe there's a correlation to my eyes changing color in those visions. A side effect of some sort. I place the mirror shard deeper into the straw pile I got it from, making sure nobody would be able to see it. A I've still got the ring in my hand and walk back over to the bench, sitting down on it with my back to the window. I feel stuck. Like everything that's happened so far has led me here, and now I can't do anything. My only hope to try and see the past. I've done it before. I know I have. This isn't a trick, and I need to start believing it. Even if nobody believes me, I can try to figure out evidence. Proof that can be used against the killer. Even so, I can have some solace in knowing that who the killer is before I'm executed. A tremble shoots up my body as I think about being walked to the chopping block. That won't happen. I'll find a way. And I'll have Lyre to help me along the way. Oh my god. He's got drugs. Live by one's wits. Okay, this is going to sound awful for a minute, but... Aaron Yeager, is that you? And you're the stream shitting itself. Ever so casually. Hold on, I'm just going to wait for the thing to catch up because it's just casually shitting itself. This is why we can't have animations on stream. This is why we can't have animations in the game, because then the stream will shit itself. Yeah. Who was that? At first it sounds like Tigran is speaking to me, but they don't sound like that. The voice is muffled and twisted, as if someone were to grab the words and wring them out like a rag. And yet they feel familiar, like I've heard them before. Live by one's wits. Advice, maybe? Another past memory sent to torture my mind with riddles is more likely. Makes me almost wish I didn't have this skill. I shake my head slightly and focus on the ring again. I need to play this smart. Can't go around acting like a fool anymore. This is the forest and I'm the fox being burned out of its den. My only hope is to find another tunnel out. And I'm going to need help from those I trust. Chapter 8, Day 23. Part 1, Lyre. We're gonna leave off here tonight. Why? No, 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 no. Yep. Yeah. I don't know what can be said. I feel like the stream is going to be interesting tomorrow. We're gonna head off here. Stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.